Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thirsty Thursday edition of The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras in California. But as we all know, I do not do this program by my lonesome.
No, I am the co-host from the East Coast. That's the East Coast is the coast with the most co-hosts. That's me. I'm Keith Hernandez. It's great to be with you, Craig, where we bring you the rundown with 2A views and conservative news here on Thirsty Thursday.
So now, Mike, by the way, as you all know, his name is actually Mike Piwowarski. But if you are a regular watcher of the show, you will know that Keith Hernandez is playing a significant role in his, how shall we say, your dream life.
My shot show delirium recovery. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
and I heard from a bunch of people yesterday after the broadcast. They just contacted me like I was Keith. In fact, at this point, I would not be surprised if Keith did not contact me himself. And I've met Keith before, but not like we're friends or anything. It was like a fundraiser, and I totally embarrassed myself in front of him. But no surprise there, right?
How is that? Who do you not embarrass yourself in front of?
Oh, listen, I'm a big Keith Hernandez fan, right?
Right.
Always have been. When he was a ball player, he was my guy, my position on my team, and I walked right up to him and introduced myself, and I said, "I'm Keith Hernandez." And I was like, he said, "Well."
Well, see, the only difference between this incident and other incidents is that this time you were actually embarrassed.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I meant to say I'm Keith Hernandez, and then I was like, what? Why did I keep saying that? I have no idea. My wife just grabbed me and said, "Just don't worry about it," and walked away. Just grabbed me and walked away. I was like, I don't know why I kept saying that. I don't know why I kept saying that.
I very rarely do it, but when I go fanboy, I don't go halfway. So,
oh yeah, listen, that's totally cool. Listen, I'm not one of the big autograph seekers, and I do get balls signed and stuff, but it's usually old batting practice balls, so they know I'm not trying to sell them on eBay or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I just totally froze with him. It was just, it was weird. Yeah, it was a weird one. But,
it is weird, but it does in fact happen. It does in fact happen. How has your Thirsty Thursday gone so far?
A little bit, still a little bit hoarse. So I'm trying to drink, responsibly to keep the pipes lubricated here. And I mean by responsibly, I mean not so much alcohol as regular, WD-40 kind of fluids to keep everything going, flow and well. But we haven't really told many tales from SHOT Show, Craig, while we've been here.
No, we haven't, and that's probably for a reason.
I am going to relay this. It was last Thursday where you and I were doing radio and TV and podcasts and everything, just jamming them out while we were in on Las Vegas in the Beretta Media Zone, and both you and I recognized we had very little voice left.
When we were interviewing Eric Pratt over at GOA, and it was funny because. Yeah. A lot of the interviews we were doing them, they would sit down in front of Mike and do arms room radio. And then they would, and I would have someone sitting in front of me and we'd be doing the rundown. And then literally the guests would just swap seats and bam, we were right back at it. It was quite the assembly line.
If you saw rundown video clips last week and I wasn't in it, it's because I was interviewing somebody else at the same time.
Well, a lot of times when you look at the shot of just me, we saw your back. So you were in it. You just weren't doing the interview.
Right. I was interviewing somebody else for a different program. It's just, but yeah, you and I recognized Thursday night that there was no voice left and we still had a full day left to go. At least I did.
Yeah.
And we went to the after hours facility to have our meetings. Mm-hmm. And you and I had to basically sat outside the perimeter pouting because we knew we couldn't go inside all the way because we'd have to speak loudly and lose our voices. So it was like we were there, but we were told, don't talk to anybody.
Oh yeah. You see a friend, you're like,
yeah, we were just pouting. We were like waving. And that was
it was so bad on our last interview of the day. We almost had them do the closing.
I've had to do that before. With Major Bill. I've done that with previous producers. When I had no voice at all and wanted to get an interview done, I made somebody else do the interview for me.
Right.
My questions, So
It just be
I've
like
done
that
that,
sometimes. It just
but
be
we
like
got
that.
over it this year. And again, I'm gonna listen. It's not like we're not taking care of ourselves.
Right.
You and I literally did 50 interviews.
Yeah.
While we were there.
Yeah, well,
So
and here's the thing. That's where we meet folks who are going to be potential sponsors, where we're going to
yeah,
broadcast from. We meet people to do giveaways. So it's important for us to do those evening meetings because once again, that's where you get people to make commitments and you really kind of build that relationship to get them to become supporters and to do. That's where the deals are made. And so,
yeah. Listen, I'm not even talking about that part. I'm talking. We did 50 on-air
oh
interviews.
yeah,
Where everybody else did 5. That week.
yeah, that
Including
was
the big
that
guy.
was actually interesting. We probably broadcast more content from the media zone than just about anybody. By the way, that includes the SHOT Show TV folks.
We were declared by SHOT Show and the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They declared us the anchor of the media center this year.
Yes,
So,
sir, Bob. Yes, sir, Bob. So
yep,
looking forward to doing that again next year.
yeah,
All
yep.
right, now with that, we probably should get on talking about some news.
Let's do it.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, we're going to start off with story number one. Story number one is Breyer to retire. That's right. Justice Stephen Breyer of the Supreme Court has decided that it's time to hang up those spurs. Now, the reason he has decided this, largely has to do with the fact that there is a Democrat president. Well, they want to make sure that they replace a Democrat with a Democrat because, as we all know, there's actually how shall we put it? I don't want to call it conservative because there's actually only 5 solid conservative justices, and then there's one who kind of goes back and forth depending on the issue, and that would be the Chief Justice. But it's really kind of a 6-3 center right majority there on the Supreme Court, and a 5-4 conservative versus liberal. Well, they're interested in looking to make sure that they at least maintain that one seat. Because once again, they're pretty sure that Biden is going to lose, and when Biden loses, they would hate to see another Republican get appointed to that seat. Now, this is an interesting one because, one of the things to note is that there is currently a 50-50 tie in the Senate, which means that Vice President Kamala Harris will be the deciding vote. Should there be a vote, though she would be the deciding vote, unless, of course, you had Republicans come over and agree to support whoever it is that the Democrats decide to nominate, who Biden decides to nominate. Now, the interesting part about this has more to do with Biden's commitment that Biden made, which was basically he stands by his pledge to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. Now, Mike, here's the interesting thing about this, and literally it took a while for this to hit me. So when they're looking at nominating people, right? First of all, if you look at the list of people who are on the short list of black women who are potential nominees, most of them either have no judicial experience, have no really high, when I say high level, I'm talking at the federal level, arguing at the Supreme Court, or serving as an appellate justice or anything like that. They either have very little history because they just got nominated to their particular court, bench, or they have none, right? But there is one who served a high level position a high level legal position that is being bantered about, and that is Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, the only reason she's being bantered around, because no one's ever talked about her as a strong legal mind, is because it would be a great way to get her out of the vice president seat so they could actually put somebody in there who would have a chance of winning in 2024. But here's the problem. If she's nominated, she would also at the same time be the tie-breaking vote for that nomination. I mean, dude, this thing has all sorts of crazy, kooky drama in it, doesn't it?
You know what? I don't even think it gets to that. Listen, I do believe that she is a viable candidate for them. They want to put her in here. The Democrats want to put her in here because this is the perfect scenario for getting rid of her out of the VP seat, right? This is the perfect scenario for now. They can actually put somebody in in the number 2 seat there at the vice presidency that may have a shot in, and in the dark there at getting a nomination by their own once they become appointed president, right? Because we know Biden is not going to make it through. So they're looking to get rid of the current replacement for the president because she can't handle the job. We know that. And if we put her up there where she's one of 9, okay, she's one of 9. That's okay. We can dump her off up there. She would be the least qualified Supreme Court justice. We know that. But you know what? Is it better for the country? Great, probably so. But I don't think it ever gets to the point where we have to worry about her being nominated because there's no way. If this goes now, if this goes before the midterms, and we have the 50-50 split, there's no way 50 Democrats vote for her. There's no way that the people like Manchin are going to look at this and say, wow, if we let this go 50-50, then she gets to be the deciding vote. His moral his morality in politics would not, I don't think would allow him to do that. He's had to stay. He stood up and said, I can't vote the way my party wants to because it's not the way my constituents want me to. So
well, she would have to recuse herself. I would think she would have to recuse herself from that vote.
Yeah, but if she recuses herself, that means it's the Speaker of the House, right? Is next in line.
Does she
recuse her?
She can't. No, I'm talking about from the vote. She would have to recuse herself from the vote. She can't recuse herself from the vote she doesn't have to give up her seat at her position as vice president until she is actually confirmed as a Supreme Court justice.
This is the dilemma. This is listen. We need constitutional scholars to look at this. If she was only recusing herself from the vote,
right,
of a tied Senate vote,
right,
who does it next?
Well, no one gets to vote. No one can step in and vote. No one can step in and vote. So it ends up in a 50-50 tie. The vote fails.
Well, but I'm not sure, right? Because that's what I'm saying. There's always a contingency in the government to make sure we don't end up with a 50-50 tie sitting there with a thumb up our ass, right?
Well, but actually, there's not, because as the vote in the Senate is a part of her position as vice president. Unless she resigns as vice president, right, and someone else is appointed to be vice president, then the vote lies with her. Now, she has a clear conflict of interest, so she would have to recuse herself. There would be a 50-50 vote, which would basically mean vote fails, right?
Right.
50-50 vote fails. She is not the Supreme Court justice.
So maybe that's the play. Maybe the play is she resigns as vice president because she's been promised the nomination to Supreme Court. Then does it still happen? Does it still play out?
Then there's still a problem because you have to appoint a vice president. I believe they would have to be confirmed.
Correct.
And then they would get to vote. Well, so do you hold the vice presidential confirmations first?
Already.
He's like, which ones do you hold first?
Exactly right.
I don't see it happening. Although it would be very, very interesting to see the cluster buster, we'll call it, if that were to happen.
Yeah, so my first questions are: the first they need to play all these scenarios out in their head, both sides, right?
That won't happen.
And figure out, is this best to do pre-election or post-election?
Mm-hmm.
Do we do this before or after the midterms?
Yeah, they're not bright enough. And that's the thing. Folks, the reason why it's so important that they get this done quickly is because there's a good chance that they are going to lose the Senate in the 2022 elections. So they've got to do it, and they've got to get it done quickly, because after that, well, then you're going to have to work with Republicans to try and get them get a justice that is not as far left-leaning as we know they want.
Right, but no, so here's the scenarios you got to play out in your head, just like you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we put Kamala on the court? Right? If we put Kamala on the court, then we know we're losing the Senate, and we know she's not going to be the vice president. Okay. We gave her something, but we didn't want her to have it, but we didn't end up with her as president. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Do we do this post-election and take the chance of, she becomes president? Do we wait and try and do it now? Because listen, it might be 50-50, but you and I both know it's a 48-52 vote. We know that that all of the Democrats are not going to vote for this, because there are a couple out there that actually believe in fair play and wouldn't allow this to happen. With between Arizona and West Virginia, they're not going to let that happen.
As I see it, they're going to have to. First of all, he's either going to if they're going to nominate a qualified justice, someone who's truly qualified to sit on the Supreme Court, they're going to have to go beyond. He's going to have to break his pledge he's either going to have to break his pledge to nominate a black woman, or now there are a couple of black female justices out there that are conservative leaning. He would have to nominate one of them, and I don't see him doing that. I see him identifying a liberal judge that is not a black woman. Maybe it'll be a woman. Maybe it'll be an Asian woman, or maybe it'll be someone who's gay. It'll be someone who will fit one of the intersectionality quotas that he's going to be looking to try and fill.
And listen,
but they need Kamala Harris's vote.
And announcing ahead of time that it's going to be a black woman that you're nominating. He did this a year ago. We know that. We know this before he even took office. He announced that he was going to put a black woman in there. Now
he did it to get Clyburn's vote support when he was running for president.
Right, and that just shows me right there he has no understanding of government. He has no understanding of efficiency. He has no understanding of professionalism. Because by saying I'm going to put a black woman in there is saying I'm not going to put the most qualified person in there.
Well, and there are people who are gearing up to file lawsuits. If he nominates a black woman who is not qualified, you could actually see this selection being challenged in court because you're not supposed to do that. There's actually already been a lawsuit addressing this specific thing, not being able to select someone for a position like that just because of their race.
Correct.
So that could wind up holding it up in court. So I really think he's going to have to think long and hard. If they plan on actually filling this seat with who they want, with a liberal, they're going to have to think long and hard about that.
Yeah, because he's not capable of thinking long and hard. Whoever does the thinking for him is going to have to do it.
Exactly. All right, moving right along to our next story. All right, so now there's this thing, and Mike and I, we've talked to you guys a little bit about this. We all know that there is this homelessness crisis, right, going on in this country. But is it really a homelessness crisis? The reality is that there have been a number of studies and polls have shown that 80 to 90% of the people who are out there who are dealing with or experiencing long-term or really pervasive homelessness, it's actually a drug addiction issue. And one of the substances that people are identifying as a major culprit in this drug addiction is what they call the new meth, right? And there's a group of folks out there who've actually created a website, and they're actually marketing, and they're talking about this new meth. Now, this is a new meth. It's called P2P meth. It's not necessarily new, but it's more prevalent. It's cheaper, and the issue with this new particular meth is that first of all, it's much, much more addictive, as noted in an article in Newsweek. It's also one of the things that they point out about this particular new meth is that normally the use of meth, the prolonged use of methamphetamines, can cause mental illness in long-term use over years. Well, this new meth, it's been demonstrated that it can cause mental health issues like schizophrenia, like bipolar disorder, literally in weeks. And that, Mike, is how they're identifying and recognizing that people are basically losing it within weeks, losing their home, their ability to pay their mortgage or their rent, and eventually winding up on the streets.
Craig, if people are going from having jobs, lives, and careers to trying the new meth and then ending up homeless, the job is not, like you said, the problem is not homelessness. The problem is I'm poor because I spent all my money on meth, right? And I lost my house. And I'm sorry, drug problems, I think, maybe some people might be predisposed to addictions, but you've got to have a bit of self-control in your life. If you don't, you need to reach out. You need to ask for assistance. If you end up doing meth recreationally and you find yourself homeless, you know what? It's on you. Have a good time in California being meth and homeless. Just keep that there. You guys seem to have all the answers for that. Oh, in New York too, they're giving you all the hotel rooms because
Right.
nobody's
Well,
using them right now.
and the thing is, Mike, is that it's kind of coming from a two-pronged process. You have people who are losing their jobs, or in some cases, people are noting, kind of depression over, being stuck at home and because of
Yeah,
COVID
you know what?
restrictions. Oh no,
But stop.
my
We need to
point
stop making
is that
excuses too.
people are utilizing. It's kind of like this. It's like, imagine if this were marijuana. There are people who are casual drug users who are
Right.
using what they thought was the old meth and are now using the new meth, and they're finding out too late that, yeah, no, this ain't your daddy's methamphetamines.
Well, listen, meth is not a casual drug. I'm saying, by any means. And if you're into meth, you're not doing it casually. And whether it's you're just addicted to hardcore, you're trying to mentally escape some other things. Meth is not an occasional a common day drug. You've got issues if you're on meth, and if you make that choice, you're on. I personally don't understand why my tax money, has to go for out to California to help your programs to try and treat these homeless people getting off their meth. You know what,
Mike,
I don't know that I have the answer.
I don't disagree, except that there are people literally. My only point is this: is that instead of we're spending a lot of money on homelessness resources, and we're not spending enough on addressing the drug addiction problem. And in many cases, because these people who are addicted are allowed to camp wherever they want, because the laws are not being enforced when it comes to them, there's no real impetus for them to be to get off of drugs. I mean, they've literally made it easy in places like California and in places like New York and other liberal cities and states throughout the country. They've made it easy for them to stay addicted to drugs. And so there's no real consequences except, okay, yeah, you got to sleep in a tent on the streets.
But right. And we need to stop. We need, again, you get those certain policies where we're just going to coddle to them.
Right.
Again, do I think there's some sort of could this be is this health issue? Well, sure, it's got something to do with health. Now it has something to do with your health. But I think a lot of people get there because we coddle them too much. Anyway these days.
Right, but we also need to be pushing and talking about this issue for what it really is. And you and I talk about this. There are root causes, right? And it's homelessness is an issue, but it may not necessarily be the root cause of this issue. Mental illness and drug addiction.
I've said this
all root causes.
There's a significant portion of homeless that are veterans, and the veterans have just chosen to say, screw it, I'm done with society.
Right.
I'm going to go out there and do that, and it doesn't mean they're necessarily alcohol or drug addicted either. It's just what, we gave these people a certain set of skills to live without buildings and running water, and they've chosen to take that set of skills and go live in the woods.
Right.
If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But I think at some point we also need to stand up and look at the homeless population and say, get off my lawn, you dirty, rotten, stinking bum. I'm not giving you a dollar.
Does that population represent 80 to 90% of the people who are homeless?
No, absolutely not.
And that's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the explosion. Yeah. I think the number we're talking about of veterans has probably been pretty consistent over time. Honestly, I will admit, I do not have data to back that up. But once again, there's been an explosion of homelessness or people living on the streets throughout the country, but especially in many of our urban centers. And the only point that I'm making here is maybe we ought to try and find out why there's an explosion. And in many cases, this helps explain some of that. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, there's more, predominant drugs out there. It went from heroin to meth 2.0. And, I think the way we deal with it needs updating because the coddling doesn't work.
Completely agree. Coddling does not work. In fact, there's a program that they were doing in Rhode Island, and I think they still are in Providence, Rhode Island. And what they did is that if you got caught committing a crime and it was found that you were drug addicted, you had two choices. You were either going to jail or you were going to a rehab program, an in-house rehab program, so that you could at least get to the point where you were off the drug and could make a decision, start making positive decisions in your life, and then provide resources to keep you off the drug.
Yeah.
That program actually works.
Right.
Or at least it's demonstrated that it works. But when you tell people, yeah, no, we're not going to penalize you for the crimes that you commit because you're homeless, that is not working. That is just flat out not working. And in many cases, we're actually seeing the failure of that.
Yep. There you go.
Now, speaking of things not working, or who knows, maybe it is actually going to work. We have the Olympics coming up in China, and we have a number of we all know that our mainstream media is all about propaganda. We all know that it's mostly about left-wing communist socialist propaganda. And it has now been officially confirmed that, NBC News is now working with or colluding with the propagandist in communist China to promote the Beijing Olympics. Now, why are they doing this? Because they want people to watch the Olympics, because it's going to be on their channel. Now, mind you, they've said that they're not sending any announcers to China. So it'll be real interesting to see the things that they hear. And by the way, the reason why they said they're not sending people to China is because it has already been noted that if any of the announcers who are there covering the event, if they say anything that is anti-Chinese, that they will in fact be arrested. That is no doubt. That is like you will be arrested. You will go to jail if you say bad things about China. So I'm guessing they're going to watch it on TV like we are, and they're going to commentate from here. But the question is, are they actually going to say the things, talk truth to power about what's going on there in China? I doubt that they will, but I'm finding it very hard to believe that they won't. That they're not going to say anything.
Put that back up there for us again. Let me see that headline again real quick. First off, Craig, let's just be clear. Communism is the devil, right? I want communism to die a horrible, painful death. Kill a commie for mommy, kill a commie for Christ. That's how we grew up, right? Communism, we know it's the ownership of people. Every citizen is a slave. There is no such thing as citizens in a communist nation. So let's be clear on that. Having said that, go back up to the top title. The top title there. Let's see the headline. Yeah, there we go. Let me translate this, all right? Because this is the most ridiculous thing I've seen today. American propagandists at NBC collude with propagandists in the communist China, or American advertising marketing people at NBC have coordinated with the marketing people in China to promote the Olympics.
Pretty much, that's who they are. But they're still propagandists.
That's all. What, American propagandists at NBC? You mean the marketing people? You mean the marketing people? The marketing people, because that's what they do. They promote. They're going to promote the Olympics. That's what they want to do. Because they have to make sales. Wait, they colluded with the Chinese. You mean they contacted them and made a deal? Because that's what you do when you cross international boundaries for television rights.
But the key is going to be this: is they're trying to make it look all hunky dory and all pretty. They're trying to make it look like, all is good in China, and China is so great, and this is a great place to be holding the Olympics.
We know that's a lie. Yeah,
we all know it's a lie.
Communism bad.
But then again,
communism bad. But the title of the story sounds like it came.
It's not like
the title of the story sounds like it came from the Daily Caller. Okay, this sounds like.
This is propaganda about the propagandists. Because, by the way, just to be clear, hold on, let me pull it up again. Now, mind you, I fully admit this is propaganda about the propagandists because it is from the Federalist. I'm just saying Mike's point is valid. This is propaganda about the propagandists.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Let us not look. I will be the first to tell you, yes, there's a reason why this is called two-way news and conservative views.
That's right.
Yes, we are promoting. We're not promoting lies, but we are promoting a perspective. How about that?
There you
go. But no, it's all about marketing, and obviously, the goal of the folks over at NBC is not necessarily to promote communism, although who knows, maybe some of them are. But the goal here is to promote the Olympics, to promote NBC, and to get people to watch it.
That's the point. Is we want to promote the Olympics because we have a vested interest in the Olympics. We know that any promotion of China means promotion of communism, but we've got to find that middle ground so we can promote the American athletes over there and their victories without making it look like we're promoting China and communism.
Exactly. There you go.
So
Exactly. You got the point exactly.
yeah.
All right. So now we're going to move on and talk about communist oppression. The city of San Jose has finally passed. I mean, the city of San Jose has been talking about passing legislation or laws there in the city that would restrict gun owners' rights by requiring liability insurance. That doesn't exist. That is illegal. And by requiring them to pay a fee in order to exercise their constitutional right, to go to a nonprofit that has no government spend dollars that have no tax dollars that has no government control over it. So we all know that's the case. Well, the city of San Jose has finally passed that what we'll call it legislation. So they finally got it. They finally put it in place, and everybody now is chiming in about their desire to sue the city of San Jose. And Mike, I just wanted to just once again give you another shot at. Did you think they were actually going to pass this? And what do you think they were thinking when they decided to put this in place?
Well, remember, this has been sitting in in a holding pattern for over a year now. But they declared their intent to pass this ordinance. In fact, they passed the ordinance, if I recall, Craig, they passed the ordinance without any verbiage to it. They said, okay, here's what we want. We want this to be the end state, but we don't know how to word it. So we're going to give it to our attorneys. You remember they gave it to the city attorneys for them to figure it out how to word it. Well, I guess they took a year and finally figured out how to word it. So now it's going to go forth and be put into the city ordinance. We knew this was going to happen because this is again the whole. Well, we know what the state law says, but our intent is more important than the state law. So we have to do this to save the children and whatever other garbage lies they want. We know that, but as talking about a lawsuit, listen, you'd have to really, really, really work too hard to convince me that the FPC or Second Amendment Foundation does not have a lawsuit in the can waiting to go for this. All they were waiting for was the final verbiage that was going to go into the ordinance. I bet you this is filed within a week after it's been the law has been declared valid.
Well, the Firearms Policy Coalition has already put out a statement, once again in anticipation of this decision. And in the end, you will find that yes, they will be filing a lawsuit, and yes, indeed, they will win this. They will win this particular lawsuit against the city of San Jose. And while I hate to see people trying to take away the rights or undermine the constitutional rights of individuals, the one thing I will say is right now with the current makeup of the Supreme Court, the idea is it's nice because now we can take it to court and we can challenge it and we can get the ruling so that if any other city throughout the country decides they're going to go do something evil and illegal like this, that they'll know that, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And again, like I said, many pats on the back to, Brandon and Adam and all our good friends over there at FPC for having this ready to go.
Exactly. And by the way, I'm sure they won't be the only ones.
Nope, you're right. You're right.
All right. Moving right along, we go on to our parting shot. And, you guys have no idea how long it takes. And we decided to do the parting shot because we either wanted to leave the show every day on kind of an important note, like this is a message we want to send, or at the very least, because we talk about so many, anti-gun, anti-liberty items on here where people are attacking our liberties. We wanted to always kind of end it on a light note. So, this is our first part of our parting shot where we wanted to let you guys know this is what it's like going through looking for memes that we feel that you would appreciate when it comes to dealing with some of these issues. They're not always nasty and inappropriate, unless, of course, you're watching the show and you are an anti-gun lefty. Then everything you believe or you see on here, we probably believe is nasty and inappropriate.
Listen, folks, we do our best. We do our best to bring you the most current, the most applicable, memes and parting shots we can, and sometimes that takes minutes to find.
Oh, and by the way, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, which you can find wherever you get podcasts, it's a meme. It's a meme. Basically, it's got Bilbo Baggins looking at the ring, and he says, "Me looking for memes to steal." Then it says, "That's so nasty and inappropriate. My friends will love it."
So that's, sometimes it takes us minutes to find the proper meme and bring it to you. And most of the time, though, it's me sending things to Craig and him going, "No, we can't put that on the TV. No, we can't do that. We can't do that." I had the opportunity to let you know why we were going to be Japanese heroes. Craig said no.
Exactly. So now, no, we will not. Yes, we know that one will not. We will not be discussing. Moving right along. So today's meme, today's alert. So here you have a guy who's sitting in the doctor's office, and the doctor asks him, "Do you have any guns in your home?" And then it says, "Me, I have a gun in your office." I found this particularly amusing because I, in fact, have said this to my doctor while in his office. Because first of all, my attitude is that's completely inappropriate. And if he were to turn and say, and once again, I know my doctor, so he didn't have an issue with it. But if my doctor had said, well, that's wholly inappropriate, I would have said, yeah, you're asking me if I have a gun in my home is wholly inappropriate.
Yep. Oh yeah. Listen, we can go there for an hour and give you the talk about Doc's first Glocks. But I thought this was rather funny. Do you have a gun in your home? Home? I got one in your office. That's hilarious right there. I usually let them find the gun during the exam.
Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Before we head out of here, Mikey, shout out to our sponsors.
Hey to our good friends at Gorilla Machining, Grid Defense, and the California Republican Assembly. And while I'm sitting here, it looks like I can show you right here. I've got, that's my wrong finger. But the Gorilla Machining is calling and texting while we're here on the air. So he must have heard me say something wrong and wanted to comment on it.
I find that interesting. Yeah, folks, please make it a point. Visit them. Their links are in the description to this video or to this podcast. Visit them, and when you visit them, make sure you tell them the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Also, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same. Share, by the way, share this. Share this podcast, share this video on your page so that more people can learn about The Rundown. They can see it and they can tune in and they can like, share, and subscribe. And oh, by the way, in the case of YouTube and on Facebook, make sure you hit the notification button. That way you're notified every single time that we go live and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place.
Yep, there you go. And listen, congratulations. I didn't get to say this yesterday to David Ortiz, the newest member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, although I don't necessarily agree that a designated hitter should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
There you go. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's episode. Please make sure to once again, like, share, subscribe, encourage your friends to do the same. We will be out of here and we will see you tomorrow on Feedback Friday. Woo-hoo.